So, you want to break into AI? Or maybe level up your career in 2026? You're probably looking at this mountain of certifications and just wondering which ones actually matter. Well, you're in the right place. Let's dive in, because this is going to be your playbook. The whole point here is to save you from spinning your wheels for months on the wrong stuff.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way right up front. A certification alone is not going to get you hired in 2026. I've seen it happen way too many times. Super smart people, they grind for months on a cert, they feel really productive, and then they walk into an interview and just blank. They get hit with one real-world question and they totally freeze. It's just not the magic ticket people think it is.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to talk about what I call the certification trap. Then, I'm going to give you a really simple way to think about all this, a two-bucket model that'll make your choices way clearer. We'll dig into each of those buckets, and then we'll build a specific playbook based on where you are in your career right now. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for the end because that's where it all comes together. So let's talk about this trap. And let me be super clear here. I'm not saying certifications are useless. Not at all. They have a real purpose. But here's the trap. Thinking they're a substitute for actual, hands-on, real-world skills and projects. They're not. So what do they actually do? Let's break that down. Okay, so here's the real value of a good certification. Think of it this way. First, they just give you structure. When you're staring at the vast ocean of AI topics, it's a lifeboat. It gives you a path. Second, it cuts through all the noise, right? Instead of wondering what to study next, you have a curriculum. And third, and this is a big one, they give you a shared vocabulary. You learn to speak the language, which is absolutely crucial. So yeah, these are some seriously valuable benefits. All right, so to help you make really smart choices here, I want you to start thinking about the entire world of AI certifications in just two buckets. That's it, two simple categories. This mental model, it's going to guide every decision you make from here on out. It's that powerful. So bucket number one is what I call learning certifications. Think of these as the indirect contributors. They build your foundation, your vocabulary, your core understanding. Bucket number two. Now, these are the stack-aligned certifications. These are the direct contributors. They're all about getting you fluent on the actual platforms and tools that companies are using right now in their interviews and on the job. And believe me, knowing the difference between these two, well, it's everything. Okay, let's dive into bucket number one first, the foundations. Now, if you're someone coming over from, say, software engineering or data analysis, these are absolutely perfect for you. They're fantastic starting points, but you got to remember, this is the starting line. It's not the finish line. When it comes to just getting the core ML concepts down, you really can't go wrong with Andrew Ng's specializations on Coursera. I mean, they're pretty much the gold standard for a reason. They give you that deep conceptual bedrock you need. Oh, and here's a pro tip. Don't sleep on Google's free AI and ML crash course. It's super well structured, and I love how it connects the theory directly to how you'd use it in the cloud. Then you've got the certs for specific, crucial tools. The Hugging Face course, for example, is basically non-negotiable if you want to get hands-on with transformers. And then you have stuff like LangChain, which is becoming just so critical for building AI agents. Getting certified with platforms like Weights and Biases for MLOps or Pinecone for vector DBs. This shows you're not just a theorist. It shows you get the different pieces of the modern AI stack. All right, let's talk about bucket number two, the needle movers. Honestly, this is where the real career leverage is. These are the certifications that make hiring managers sit up and take notice. Because to pass them, you're forced to develop genuine, real-world platform fluency. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the big guys, the big cloud platforms. In my opinion, the Google Cloud Professional ML Engineer Cert is one of the absolute best out there. AWS Machine Learning Specialty, also top tier. Same with Azure's AI Engineer Associate. And hey, don't overlook the Databricks ML Professional Cert. It's a bit underrated, but it is fantastic if you want to prove you know the whole data lakehouse architecture. And you can't forget the layer underneath it all, infrastructure. Look, for serious ML and AI engineering jobs, knowing stuff like Kubernetes and Terraform is pretty much becoming table stakes. Getting a CKA or Terraform Associate certification, that's a clear signal that you get how to manage and scale this stuff properly using infrastructure as code. So, why does all this matter so much? Why am I harping on this? Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're in that final interview, and the hiring manager leans forward and asks you, how would you design a multi-tenant RAG system with evaluation and fallback mechanisms? Whew, that's not a textbook question, right? That is a real deal, complex system design problem. Where do we even start?
And that is exactly why Bucket 2 is so critical. If you've just done learning certs, you might give a kind of vague theoretical answer. But if you've actually prepared for something like the GCP or AWS cert, you don't. You talk specifics. You start discussing the pros and cons of using Vertex AI versus SageMaker. You debate the trade-offs between different vector databases. You can actually talk about setting up IAM boundaries for multi-tenancy and what your monitoring and fallback strategy would be. See the difference? That is an answer that gets you hired.
Okay, so we've got our 2 buckets. Now let's zoom out. Let's put this all together into a practical playbook that you can use, tailored for wherever you are on your career journey right now. All right, first up, let's say you're an early career professional. Maybe you're a software engineer, a data analyst, and you're trying to make that big transition into AI. What's your move?
For you, I've got a simple 3-step plan. Step 1, start with a Bucket 1 learning cert. Get that foundation solid, maybe with Andrew Ng or the Hugging Face course. Step 2, and listen, this part is non-negotiable. You have to build stuff. I'm talking at least 3 serious projects using real messy data. And step 3, practice explaining your decisions. Talk out loud about the trade-offs you made. Why this model? Why that architecture? That combination right there, that's what gets your foot in the door.
Okay, next up, what if you're already in the game? You're a mid-level engineer, and you're looking to level up to a senior AI or ML role. Your strategy has to be totally different.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to show depth over breadth. Forget trying to know a little about everything. Pick one cloud ecosystem, GCP, AWS, or Azure. Maybe base it on the companies you want to work for. And then you go deep. You go all in and get that advanced professional level ML or AI certification for that one platform. That kind of focused expertise is what screams senior level to a hiring manager.
And finally, what about our AI product managers or solutions architects? You folks live in a really interesting place, right at that intersection of the tech and the business. So for you, it's all about a hybrid approach. Here's what you do. You get one of those technical cloud certifications. Why? To build credibility with your engineering team. They need to know you get it. But, and this is the key, you immediately back it up with real case studies of deployments you've worked on. Because for you, being able to say, I led a deployment that served 500,000 users and it boosted revenue by 10%, well, that's infinitely more powerful than any list of certifications on a resume.
All right, that brings us to the final and honestly, the most important takeaway of this whole thing.
Look, the reality check for 2026 is this. The hiring bar for good AI jobs is higher than it's ever been. It just is. And why is that? It's because the simple act of training a model in a notebook, that's becoming commoditized. Companies are not impressed by a simple proof of concept anymore. They're looking for people who can solve the really hard problems, production systems, robust evaluation, and scaling the infrastructure. That's the real game now. So please, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The message is not don't get certifications. The message is that certifications are fantastic accelerators. They help you learn what you need to know about production systems faster. But they are never, ever a substitute for the real, hard-won experience you get from actually building things and shipping them to users. So, I'm going to leave you with a question, a challenge, really. By all means, use certifications to get that structure and to build your fluency. But always, always center everything you do around this one question. What will you build to prove you know your stuff? Because in the end, the only thing that truly ships your career forward is what you actually ship.